Sports 106.5 FM.
Welcome to Building Solid Foundations Radio. I'm your host, Steve Matley. We're on KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. Catches on your favorite podcast platform, iHeart, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google, Apple, and others. Today, we have a special guest in the studio, Momo Savovic. He is a civil engineering background, infrastructure construction manager, and he's going to talk to us today about a new initiative he has for the Inland Empire. Momo, welcome to Building Solid Foundations.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Thanks for inviting me.
So today what we want to talk about is you have a new initiative on your plate that you're starting. It's IEWA, the Inland Empire Water Association. Can you tell us what that is and why you're starting that?
Yeah, Inland Empire Water Association is going to be centered in Temecula, nice Temecula Valley. Surrounding communities do have similar associations like Orange County and San Diego, and we thought, well, Inland Empire is up and coming, and Temecula seemed like a logical choice. So the group that I belong to had like a team meeting, and we kind of realized that Temecula is up and coming. There is a lot of infrastructure work that is scheduled to be delivered, and we thought that a bustling community like Temecula do deserve association like that. And with my experience being president of Construction Management Association and being associated with our successful endeavors like that, I figured if I invest my experience and if I kind of talk to people that are like-minded, like you are, and people that want to support cause, we may give it a try. So we had initial meeting with our temporary board, and we agreed to move on and have our first voting meeting end of February.
Now, is this a non-profit, like a 501c3 that you're forming?
That is correct, and we are planning to generate some money in the process, but all of it will dedicate it to a good cause, and we'll slate it for the students and charities of choice.
Okay, and what's the you mentioned Temecula. What is the boundaries? What cities and communities are included in this area?
Yeah, well, Inland Empire would stretch all the way up to Coachella Valley cities in the valley. It would include Temecula, of course, and surrounding water agencies, and it would go up to high desert, including Riverside and Ontario. So those are major centers, and everything that goes in between would hopefully join and support the cause.
Okay, and what type of members are part of this association? Who would be the people that would be members of the association?
Yeah, well, we would target people like water districts and cities, and then we would reach out to people in consulting communities and people in construction business like contractors. And usually we solicit some assistance from people in legal kind of field, and then people in businesses. So it is kind of a wide variety of people that we are targeting to join this association.
Okay, and the end goal of the association, what's the desired outcomes?
Desired outcome is to spread the word about appropriate management of what is called CIP or capital improvement programs in this area, to reach out to general public and educate and explain what is the benefit of improving infrastructure and what would be the outcomes of investing in improvement, reaching out to youth, college-based, or high schools and the like, and spread the word and try to connect and explain what is the driving force in development in the valley, which is water, and water is outlining our efforts here.
Okay, so now water is we know water from we get the bill every month from whoever our local water agency is. It could be municipal, it could be private, it could be a separate agency. So we get that, but ultimately the state has a lot of control over that as well up in Sacramento. Um, when we look at this, how can associations like this help manage the water usage and the water infrastructure? I mean, because we have all these different agencies and groups that seem to already own all the water, but they may be disconnected. So how does this group help manage that resource?
Well, I'm not sure if our reach can go that far, at least not at the beginning. But I think you made a good point, considering that infrastructure bill has been signed in November last year, and it is the largest bill ever, and it will affect water business at what we do, and it will trickle in through, of course, Sacramento, and that's where you're right. Now, how does that affect us here in Temecula Valley? Well, we have to kind of connect people that can kind of share that information and kind of get educated as a group. And this is the best way to do that. If we go to one place at the same time and discuss, we will learn more. This is very complex subject matter. I don't claim to be expert in this mountain of funding that is coming at us, but I know that I know some people that could talk very intelligently and enlighten me, and in the process help everybody else understand where the process is headed. To answer your question, there is Eastern Municipal Water District that is, I think, the third largest, or maybe between three, probably the third or fifth largest in California, and that is
MWD is probably your biggest. I'm
MWD
guessing, right?
would be in LA, but you have also Coachella Valley is sizable.
Right.
Clients. So our idea is, if we get those people together, and if we have people that understand finances participating in same events, we will kind of have breakaway sessions with the group, and they will talk. And in that synergy, we expect that business is going to flourish. That's how business move, and we would want to help to promote that kind of go by or template, which is and it is successfully running in Orange County, for instance, which is our big brother. But space-wise, we are much bigger,
Right.
So I think there is opportunity to do that. We are in close contact with them. We are talking to their legal team. They are helping us setting this up. However, they are helping us understanding which way to go to.
Okay. And again, there's a lot of water groups out there, and there's sub districts to the big districts. Like there's I think a Temecula Valley Water District, which is a sub district, I think, to, was it Western? There's districts and sub districts out there, and they do different things. And it's a very complicated thing. And in California, Southern California, water is an enormous issue, huge issue for people that live here. A few years back, when we had a drought, the then Governor Brown kind of turned the taps off on us because we were short on water. There was a drought and there wasn't enough to go around. And that severely impacted the economy for a lot of microeconomies and different businesses, agriculture, the hospitality, hotels, all suddenly under these restrictions of limited water, and really punitive rates if you went over that, because there just wasn't water to go around. And so do you see this new agency as helping to alleviate some of that, or helping to maybe avoid getting into those situations by helping to better manage the resource?
And I believe you made a great point, because drought and water is probably on everybody's mind. We do remember a couple of years back when we couldn't use water in certain times and whatnot. I think this region evolved from that point, with San Diego moving to kind of being self-sufficient more than the most, and with cities and districts within Inland Empire trying to follow the suit. So what is going on is we are trying to be as self-sufficient as we could in this region by providing provisions that would reduce risk of being kind of drawn into drought conditions. So what that means is the funds could be diverted into projects that are providing self-sufficiencies rather than relying on sources that are either Colorado or state water. And that is where this region is headed to. So projects like Desal project in Carlsbad and several other offspring projects throughout the state are headed that direction. So for now, it seems like water costs are shooting through the roof, but there is always price to pay for independence, you know. And if we headed that way, that price is probably going to come down and be more reasonable. So to answer your question is, yes, it is all related to being self-sufficient, avoiding pitfalls, and you know having to go through pain of being addressing drought the way we all don't want to, and being prepared for emergencies like that. And as I said, it all connects with a huge push to kind of improve our infrastructure, and water is on top of it.
Yeah, and exactly, as I said, in Southern California, water is always top of mind. It is a huge thing, and it's not just Southern California. You know, anywhere in the Southwest, Arizona, Utah, Southern Nevada, New Mexico, water's always a problem because there's not a lot of it naturally here. We live in a very dry climate, and the dry climate it restricts the amount of water available, but at the same time, it invites a lot of people to come in because the weather's fantastic. We have mild winters. We don't have the mild winters that people come here for means there's no snow melt. So we don't get the water from that like most of the rest of the country does. And we don't have constant rains like the Southeast does in a lot of the country. So water's a huge issue. We're going to pick this conversation up on the other side of a break. We got to take a short break here. This is Building Solid Foundations Radio. We're talking to Momo Savovic, and we're talking about the new Inland Empire Water Association. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere.
FireUp Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. FireUp Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. FireUp Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Hi, this is Steve Matley. As a construction professional, I know the importance of selecting the right contractor for the job. Power Solar employs only professional installers. Power Solar will provide a knowledgeable consultant to help analyze your current electric bill, identify site placement, and correct solar technology for your home. Contact kcaaproducer@gmail.com for a free financial savings proposal with no obligation, or call 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Again, that's kcaaproducer@gmail.com or 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Hello and welcome back to Building Solid Foundations Radio. This is Steve Matley. Today, my guest is Momo Savovic, and we're talking about the Inland Empire Water Association, a new initiative designed for the Temecula Valley area of Riverside County and beyond that into upper areas of Riverside County and even into San Bernardino County. Momo, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned several times about creating self-reliance on water for the area. Where does the water come from for that area? Where are we getting it?
Yeah, well, thanks, Steve. Yeah, it's a great question. So naturally, water is either coming from Colorado River, from up north, Bay Area, Those are two sources, and we have groundwater source. So those are three sources that we are tapping into. Recently, in this region, we started looking into ocean. Just think about the ocean and resource that's stuck in there. So there is technology that could help us defry and use that huge reservoir of water. And I would say like about 5 years ago, San Diego County and City of San Diego constructed a large desal in Carlsbad, and that is a marquee project that may probably lead into new generation or new way of thinking about resolving this issue around here.
Okay. And how much water can that plant produce?
It is designed and constructed to produce 50 million gallons per day, and I believe it is very close to design point the way it's operated right now.
Okay, and then how many households is that going to serve?
Well, I may miss the mark here, but it is going to serve a big part of North County in San Diego. That includes where we are at in the city of Vista, San Marcos, Carlsbad, and surrounding cities up to Escondido. Okay,
so now for the area you're in, Temecula Valley, is a desalination plant viable considering they're inland? They're separated from the ocean by a mountain range. So would they be pulling water from a coastal desalination plant in Orange County or San Diego County, or would they have to try to get land and build one and pipe the water out there? How could they take advantage?
Yeah, well, nowadays what they have is what's called pure water program. Okay. And people inland are looking into ways to recycle water, like when they send people
So
out.
Similar to the Miramar plant?
Similar to Miramar plant, yes.
Okay. So people don't know that aren't familiar. Miramar, there's a large water recycling plant close to where the Marine base is out there, and they pull water in. Now, the water coming out is generally not drinking water. It's used for irrigation, but a lot of water is needed for irrigation. If you can use that water, then the fresh water can be used for tap water. So you're talking something similar to that.
Something very similar to that, and there are different processes that could kind of address issue and tailor it to needs. So there is similar program going on right now with Eastern Municipal Water District, and there are some other districts like Padre Dam and Oceanside, and they have similar program that is looking into slight modification, what is just pulling water from the ocean. There was a program, Tap to Poop, which was not popular at the time.
Yeah, the toilet to tap is what they called it, yes. And the irony there is every drop of water that's coming out of your tap that you drink probably went through a toilet or a river that animals were in at some point in time, because water just keeps being recycled around the planet, right? It's like the same amount of water's been here, but it evaporates, condensates, it rains, it runs down a river, it goes into a ground well, whatever. And so nature has been filtering that out for millennia. And if humans can filter that out, it sounds disgusting when you think about it, but the truth is it's no different than what nature's been doing forever.
And I mean, technology is headed that direction. As I mentioned, people flying out to space are using that technology.
Yes,
and
exactly.
They're living
and they're living just fine.
And they're coming back. But I mean, it is important to reach out and talk to public, just like we do. And I drank that water, I was at the plant when it was commissioned, and okay, I lost some hair, I guess, but that's not why. So, I mean, people do drink it. There is no evidence that there is anything wrong with it, and it is treated to molecular levels. So that technology is really taking any impurity out of it. And then again, if it is used for potable water, there is a different layer of protection. So it's usually discharged to large reservoir, like natural reservoir that is source for water supply of region, like Miramar Lake, you discharge it there. And then you put water treatment plant, so you treat it again.
Right.
And then it's like fail-safe, and there is so many built-in suspenders in.
Yeah, and most people, not everyone, but most people these days tend to drink filtered water anyways. We don't just drink out of the tap usually. Some do. When I was growing up, we never thought anything of it. You put water under the tap, you drink out of the hose. We didn't seem to bother us. Now we want it bottled. We run it through the Brita. We have a 3-part filtration system under the sink. We have a whole house system. Nobody really wants to drink the tap water anyways, which means the water coming through is probably going to get filtered, even additionally right there at the tap.
And I am testament to what you just said. I'm drinking water that is RO treated, and the trick is that water is our treated equally like ocean water or this water from wastewater treatment plant effluent. It's the same technology applied to different sources coming with the same outcomes. So that is few things that are on the table. I believe that San Diego and this region is good example of how to tackle and resolve the issue. We are not the only ones. There is Orange County also, yeah. And there are other people that are doing the same, but I believe we fully realize here in San Diego how important it is. We are planning to have associations like this, talking to people and spreading the word, and getting events that will popularize and allow people to ask and get reasonable explanation. And I think this will help, everybody accept that this is the way to go. We have to worry about natural resources. We have to, be proactive and try to preserve them as much as we could.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned education going into the schools, and I see that as a vital part of what the Inland Empire Water Association would do, is help to educate the general public to change some of the prejudices and myths about water, and the idea that when your neighbor flushes the toilet, it doesn't come straight up into your tap. There's a whole process that's going to, and that honestly, that water probably isn't any worse than what's coming out of the ocean anyways. If we're desalinating, the ocean water is not very clean, and I don't know what people think the fish are doing out there, but same thing we're doing, right? So it's in there, it's already there, and it's a matter of just changing the mindset, I think.
Yeah, just keeping people informed, I believe, is the key. Not forcing the issue, but letting people making their own educated decision at that time, because we would explain and provide any explanation that could help them come closer to believing it, or enabling them to dig deeper and get any information that they may need to come to support the good cause.
So how do people get involved with this? If someone wants to get involved with the Inland Empire Water Association?
By contacting me to start with.
And how do they do that?
There is an email address. It's my first name and last name at att.net. So
it's
MOMCILO.
Oh, the full name.
Full name.
MOMCILO.
SAVOVIC.
Okay.
So it's one word.
Momocilio
Savovic at att.net.
Okay, and I'm sure that once you get the association up and running, there'll probably be a website that they can contact. And so if you're looking for this, it's going to be the Inland Empire Water Association, based out of Temecula Valley, but serving a lot of Riverside, San Bernardino County, and the inland area. So if you want to get involved, maybe to help the Inland Empire Water Association get to schools and do education, or maybe you want to help refer people in that can be participants in this. Perhaps you're somebody that sits on a board or knows somebody that sits on a board of a water district, and you can contact them and get involved in this. Or maybe you're a developer, a builder.
Or municipal district that wants to get some sort of connection and reach out to community, because we will facilitate that. And I think it is win-win,
Right.
They will get something, and they will get word out, and they will have a vehicle that will allow them to talk to community and spread the word and explain what is going on.
Okay, and obviously, if they're in agriculture, that's probably a very good stakeholder to have involved in this as well. Now, are you looking at using the association for like public advocacy, lobbying, those type of elements?
Well, at this point, we have several ways to try to promote. One would be we want to set annual golf event and raise some funds, and then support local schools with proceedings. We also plan to have at least quarterly meeting and invite owners, agencies, cities into a place that is dedicated. Right now we are thinking about Karl Strauss, just because it's across the street from my office there. Mm-hmm. But we'll see where, and we will advertise that on our webpage. And also we are trying to circulate invite to local owners and businesses and ask them to join. And it really depends on how aggressive our promotion is, and depends on how successful we are in drawing people in. So we just don't know how is that going to work at this point because it is so young. And but we have hopes that it will take some traction and will become visible on the map, and sky is the limit. We are in America, you know.
That's right. Fantastic. So it's Inland Empire Water Association, Momo Savovic. If you want to get hold of him, Momocilio Savovic at att.net, MOMOCILO SAVOVIC at att.net if you want to connect with him if you're interested and learn about it. And pretty soon there'll be some information available up on our website. Momo, I want to thank you for being on Building Solid Foundations with me today. We're going to go to a break, and we will be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. I'm Steve Madden.
I love how New School is able to help me greatly with my career.
Because they actually have experience working in the field. The greatest thing about New School is the fact that there are so many different disciplines, which allows you to really understand and get a good insight into different types of design. And I think it's that whole changing mindset of what design can really do for a city, and this is kind of the place to be.
This environment cultivates creative thinking.
FireUp Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. FireUp Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. FireUp Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Hi, this is Steve Matley. As a construction professional, I know the importance of selecting the right contractor for the job. Power Solar employs only professional installers. Power Solar will provide a knowledgeable consultant to help analyze your current electric bill, identify site placement, and correct solar technology for your home. Contact kcaaproducer@gmail.com for a free financial savings proposal with no obligation, or call 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Again, that's kcaaproducer@gmail.com or 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations Radio. I'm your host, Steve Matley. In the studio now with me today, I have Dennis Selke. Dennis Selke is a cohort of mine at college in San Diego, New School of Architecture and Design. That's where I met him. He has a fascinating background in history, and I could read through his whole thing, but I kind of want to talk to him with you about that journey. The main reason I wanted Dennis on is because he's got a very interesting story of how he got to where he is now and what that journey looks like. And I find it fascinating because so much of it was a late life transition. And I always find those kind of things very fascinating. So Dennis, welcome to Building Solid Foundations.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's always good to talk to you. We talk even at school sometimes and just enjoy the conversations. So that's one reason I wanted to have you on. So I met you when you came to work at the school as an instructor, but you had graduated already from graduate degree in architecture. Okay, so the typical student that starts on their journey to become a licensed architect is probably what age would you say?
Probably 20 years old.
20 years old or so, yeah,
Yep.
somewhere in that 18 to 22 time slot, right?
Yeah.
And they start their journey. And you did that. So tell us first about how you started on the journey and what happened there.
Yes. I first started on the journey working as a draftsman in the late 70s.
Okay.
And when it became time to go to college, then I started school at first in computer science of all things, but then after a year, went and became a carpenter.
Now, did they call it data processing back then? DP?
They called it data processing then. And it was
Yes.
COBOL and Fortran.
My dad ran the data processing department for a junior college.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
And, then...
Punch cards.
Yeah, punch cards and mainframes.
Yes,
They had to have their own cooling systems for the computers.
And they put them up with the shop classes because they were noisy.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they are. Yep. And then so I started architecture school originally in 1980,
Okay.
which put me at 20 years old. And I went for 5 years and almost graduated.
And just so people know, architecture is a 5-year program. It's
Yes.
not. It's a 5-year because you do the 4-year typical undergraduate, and then you have a 5th year that's a thesis year.
Yes, in a mini theses. Yeah. And well, at that point, I met my wife and decided to move to California
Okay.
for the opportunities in architecture.
And how close were you to finishing your degree at that point?
I was missing one class.
One class.
Yep.
Okay.
I had actually taken the final studio class and failed it, and it was a in-person school, so there was no online option in 1985.
Online hadn't been invented yet.
It wasn't invented. So.
Yeah. Online were clothes drying if you couldn't afford a clothes dryer.
That's right. So went through and worked for some really exciting architecture firms, CRSS being one of them, and we worked on Cal State San Marcos, the master plan.
So you were working as a draftsperson.
Working as a draftsperson then.
And pencils and triangles and all that stuff.
Yes, and computers at CRS.
Because computers were beginning to be used now.
Yep. And got to design the initial facility that my daughter actually graduated with her master's from that college. So it's a pretty strange career. And so when she was born, I decided to join in with my wife in her accounting firm. And so I brought the financial planning aspect into the accounting firm.
So you moved from drafting to financial planning.
Yeah.
Okay.
And well, at that point, I had worked my way up to be CAD manager.
Okay.
So it was some drafting, but mostly making standards and, making sure that everybody's putting things on the right layers and that kind of thing. CAD cops, so to speak. And so at that point, so 20 years later, I decided that I really was not cut out for financial planning anymore. The business was dwindling. Clients were retiring. The business was becoming less and less profitable every year. So the last 5 years were just kind of 5 of the same years in a row, and really
so
not
you didn't live
satisfying.
5 years. You lived the same year 5 years 5 times in a row. Is what
Yes.
you did. Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So this is what made me decide to retire, get rid of my practice, and go back to new school for my master's degree.
Okay. So, but you had to finish that bachelor's that you hadn't finished before. Is that right?
True. I did finish that.
Okay. And so what point did you do that?
I finished that in 2014.
Okay. So you had to start over from scratch? Or did you transfer credits over? Or?
I went back to my initial college, Lawrence Tech in Southfield, Michigan, and they had an online master's program at that time. So I got accepted into that program and started working on it. But then they told me it's going to be 3 more years before they could offer all the classes.
Oh, I see.
So at that point, if I had taken one more class, I would qualify for the bachelor's degree.
Right.
So I did that one class, got my bachelor's degree from Lawrence Tech, and transferred into new school.
Okay. And so this is you left school, you got married, you raised a family, had an entire career in between.
Yes.
And then went back to school.
And went back to school.
Right. And was any of the previous schooling from 30 years before applicable? Did any of that count?
It did count towards my associate.
Did okay. So they gave you 2 years of credit for your 5 years of work.
Yep. Yeah, they gave me two years of credit, and it didn't really count. And along the way, they actually had this funny little thing where there was an extra class that I was required to take, which was a psychology class. But the counselor told me it was a physics class. So apparently he was dyslexic or something like that. Psychology
and physics, so similar letters, very, very different.
PSY or PYS.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, but they're different disciplines. Yes.
And I'd already taken the physics class, so I even told him, well, why would I have to take it again? But this crazy hidden benefit of his mistake was I went back and took physics too at Miracosta College to try to fill that in.
Okay.
And I found out about quarks.
And what's that?
And that's another particle that they didn't teach us about in the physics class that I took the first time around in the 80s.
So was that a discovery that had happened in the decades in between?
Yes. And so that it's a weird happy accident. I really didn't need to take that physics class, but I took the first half of it, and I found out a lot of weird, excellent information about physics that was discovered in the meantime.
Well, and that's what happens. That's why, education gets old, because the world keeps moving on, and we discover new things, and we create new things, and innovate new things. And, I think back to my education, and I'm pretty sure that at least 50% of what I learned in my formal education, higher education, probably is completely obsolete.
True.
Yeah, there's things that change all the time. Now, some of it doesn't. Accounting has been accounting forever. Basic management principles, they change a little, but overall, it hasn't changed a lot for human history. We put new names on it and call it new theories, but it's really all the same stuff. It's how do you get someone to do things because you need them to do it, and make that they want to. For them wanting to do it, right? That's kind of what it is, right?
Making people want to do it.
People want to do it. That's right, because it's part of it helps them, benefits them, right? That is what it is. Other things like technology are probably obsolete every few years.
If you're lucky, yeah. Probably every year now. Everything is a subscription, so constantly changing.
That's right, and I think science, basics of science, law of gravity, been around a long time, but you say the discoveries. Especially in areas of astronomy, physics,
and smaller and smaller particles that we didn't even know existed.
A lot of the biology that goes on is changing. So that's fascinating. It's good to get updated and find out that it didn't just waste my time taking this class a second time.
And that made it worthwhile, because not wasting my time when it was a waste of time, really, but it wasn't a waste of time.
So then you transferred over to New School of Architecture and Design to take a graduate degree in architecture.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. And previously you had all but one class done in a terminal architecture degree that would have led to licensure. So now you're starting architecture, but when you do a master's degree, it's only 2 years.
Correct.
Because you've got all your lower division stuff done.
Yeah.
Through your bachelor's degree. So you're basically taking the last 2 years of architecture and then your thesis year.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you start that, and how old are you when you're doing this?
I finished my master's when I was 55.
Okay, and that's a lot of the story that I wanted to get out to listeners. I don't know how many times I worked in 3 different colleges now, and 2 of them were very heavily career focused and had a lot of adult learners. And I don't know how many times I heard people say, if I went back to school now, I'd be like 50 years old when I graduate, and question I want to ask him is, well, how old would you be in 4 years if you didn't go back to school? You'd probably still be 50 years old. Exactly. Only you wouldn't have the degree, right?
That's right.
and we have this idea, and I understand it's the fish out of water problem. It's the I'm going in and I'm going to look like grandpa, and all these young kids, and I don't even know how to relate to them because they grew up in a different world than I did. Right.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean,
I was blessed that my daughter was their age, so I did have some idea of what they were thinking about.
Yeah, but still, you grew up in a different era, because even raising my daughters, there was a limit to how well I could relate to people their age, because I grew up in an age where we didn't have microwave ovens, and we didn't have VCRs, and we didn't have an internet, and we didn't have a phone that had everything in the world on it for you. You actually had to let the phone ring. And if you didn't answer it, you had no idea who it might have been. So you had to answer the phone if you want to know who it was.
If you really wanted to know.
And if you were on the phone and someone else called, you weren't going to find out who was calling.
Nope.
So it was a different world back then. So we're going to pick this conversation up on the other end of a break here. We've got to take a short break. So we're talking to Dennis Selke, and we're talking about kind of the mid to late life transitions and what that looks like. This is Building Solid Foundations Radio on KCAA. We'll be right back after this.
I love how new school is able to help me greatly with my career.
Because they actually have experience working in the field. The greatest thing about new school is the fact that there are so many different disciplines, which allows you to really understand and get a good insight into different types of design. And I think it's that whole changing mindset of what design can really do for a city, and this is kind of the place to be.
This environment cultivates creative thinking.
FireUp Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. FireUp Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. FireUp Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Real Men of Real Estate with Steve Matley, construction manager and real estate developer, business owner, and educator.
Did you know that right now there's 22,000 units deficit?
Tunde Ogunwale, real estate development professional, Naval Academy grad, and veteran with a deep understanding of the public sector process.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Brian Fox, real estate expert and investor, dedicated to helping hundreds of clients make money in real estate every year.
There's so much housing going in.
The builders are begging for more land.
Future company can come in, lease up space to employ those people who are living in the homes.
We have to put the housing in place.
That either we either have to have houses,
They want to make sure that there's a strong employment.
logistics centers, things like information hubs. We are a shipping economy now. There's economies all over the country where their prices are doubling and tripling.
Hi, this is Steve Matley. As a construction professional, I know the importance of selecting the right contractor for the job. Power Solar employs only professional installers. Power Solar will provide a knowledgeable consultant to help analyze your current electric bill, identify site placement, and correct solar technology for your home. Contact kcaaproducer@gmail.com for a free financial savings proposal with no obligation, or call 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Again, that's kcaaproducer@gmail.com or 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations. This is Steve Matley, your host. Today we're talking to Dennis Sulky in the studio. And Dennis has been sharing his journey of going through life, not quite completing school, and then having an entire career in a life and going back to school 30 years later and starting over. And so before the break, we kind of left off. He was going back to his graduate degree to finally get that architecture degree finished. So you came to New School and you started a 3-year master's degree program, and you are probably a little older than the average age of most students in that program. Is that true?
Oh yes, I was quite a bit the oldest. Yeah.
And now did that cause any anxiety or uncomfortableness, or was it just pretty seamless?
For me, it was just being extraordinarily tired at the end of the day, and the amount of mental effort to put in as a senior individual.
Yeah, so they have the old saying, you're a senior in college, but in this case, you were actually a senior in college.
Citizen,
senior citizen in college. That's right. Okay, but you finished that up and you graduated.
Yes.
And you got through your thesis, everything's done. So you finally, how many years later was it you completed that compared to your intended completion date?
So my intended completion would have been 1985.
Okay.
And my actual completion was 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
Okay.
31 years.
31 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what would you say to someone out there that has unfinished business, whether it's a degree program or a business startup or a project they were going to finish that figures it's been too long, it's just there's no sense in this, or I'm too old now, what would you say to them?
I would say that, if you quit college, the statistics say that you'll never go back, but the statistics are not immutable. If you have the drive that you could go back, you can do it at any age.
Right, and so here's the thing with statistics. Statistics are based, you take all these samples, you plot them all out, and it creates this nice bell curve or whatever. And everybody focuses on that, what the average is. Well, this is the average, this is the median, whatever it is. And so that must be the way it is. And they forget, well, that is only that way because there was some outliers.
They just throw us out.
And so you can be one of those outliers. You can be that 1, 2, 3, 4 of those dots that are way out on the outside of that distribution curve that did go back.
Yes.
And not only went back, but finished.
And finished well, too.
Right. So at this point, that doesn't make you a licensed architect. You have to take certain licensing exams. And architecture is one of those professions that has an extremely difficult professional licensing exam process. And you don't just go in and take a test. So what does the licensing look like?
Yes, it's a 3-part process. First, you have to get the professional degree. And the next part of the process is 3,700 hours of professional experience documented with architecture employment.
Now, all those years being a draftsperson probably counted for a lot of that.
They counted for, they have a special program, the portfolio program for us seniors, and I was able to enable that and use my old experience, which was 30 years old.
Okay.
And then
drafting is drafting.
Yeah. And also I had the other type of programming experience and other construction management experiences.
And an early adopter of CAD.
And a very early adopter of CAD.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, a digital native with a TRS-80 when I was 16 years old.
Okay.
But that's another side story. And then also take the 6 national exams and 1 state exam.
7 different exams.
7 different exams.
And what your progress so far?
My progress is I have 2 more federal exams to go, and I have the 1 state exam.
So four of the 7 exams are done. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're getting really close to the actual finish line where you can call yourself a licensed architect.
Yes. And I have studied now for another one of my exams, and I'm ready to schedule that. So
great.
As soon as I can schedule it, I'll be scheduling.
Okay. And so if you were to lay odds, your probability of actually completing that and getting your license, what would you say that is right now?
I'd say it's about 90% that I can get that done in a year.
In a year? Okay.
Yeah.
But probably 100% you're going to get it done
within 2
at some
years.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before you die. Okay.
Yeah, before
okay. Right. And that's a key thing, because the day that you pass that last exam and you can call yourself officially an architect, what's that going to feel like?
That's going to feel like a 40-year achievement. That's going to be something huge, huge thing. Okay. Lifetime goal.
Lifetime goal.
Yeah.
And so if you're out there and you've got that stuff hanging out there, it's never too late. So I've taught in multiple schools. Now, I took a long way through education too, and that was mostly financial. Well, some of it was academic. When I graduated high school, I was in the half of the class that makes the top half possible. So there wasn't a lot of colleges looking for me. So I went to community college, and I did okay there. I found out that the more I had to pay to go to school, the better I did in school. Funny how that works, right?
That is funny.
Yeah, the commitment level, right?
Yeah.
And so then I transferred to a private university, and I did pretty well there. I got good grades, and then I earned my cords. And then I had a break, and then I went back and took my master's degree. But this wasn't all seamless. I had this process where I would pay for what I could pay. I'd go to school, and I'd do all the classes I could until I ran out of money. And when I ran out of money, I'd leave school. I'd go work 2-3 jobs, just kill myself, get caught up, get a little bit ahead, go pay for the next few classes, take the next few classes. And it took me over 15 years to finish up my master's degree doing it that way. But I did finish. And to the date, nobody's really asked how long it took me. Nobody cared.
How many catalog changes?
Yeah, they didn't care. You know, they just want to know I have the degree.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's right.
So wherever you are out there, what do you say to somebody that hasn't finished school, Dennis? What are you going to tell them if they have that life goal? In your case, it wasn't just finishing school; it was getting that license.
Yes, and even though your life moves on, if you really have the goal to go get your degree, you can do it. And there's so many options. We have online options now.
Yep.
Complete
You don't have to
online.
leave home.
Yeah.
You can do it at your
for
own
our
pace.
master's degree at our college,
We have a
completely
master's
online.
degree at New School that's a 1 calendar year, asynchronous online
Yeah.
that you can do. But we're going to have to wrap this conversation up. Dennis, I want to thank you for being on the show. Always fascinating, and I hope if you're out there, it encouraged you to get after whatever it is you need to get after and get your life goal done. I'm Steve Matley on Building Solid Foundations Radio. We're on KCAA at 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM. Catch us on your favorite podcast platform, iHeart, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google, Apple, and others. And we will see you next week on Building Solid Foundations Radio.
NBC News Radio.